In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, it is part 3 of a 3-part series called the Passport Prospects, where I share my thoughts on the top international prospects in the 2025 NBA draft class. In the first 2 episodes, I cover the top international bigs and wings. And in this episode, it is all about the ball handlers, the playmakers, or the point guards. So stay tuned. And I have a special one-on-one interview with Neoklis Avdalas. You don't want to miss it. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe. And in this episode, I am flying solo. And like I mentioned in the open, this is part 3 of a 3-part series where I share my thoughts on some of the top international prospects. But before I get started, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop an episode. It is June 6th. So we're about 19 days, depending on when you listen to this, 19 or 18 days away from the 2025 NBA draft. I'm looking forward to it. I will be there along with James. We will be in Brooklyn covering the draft. And it is the fourth quarter. It's been a long season. It's the fourth quarter. It is crunch time. And so stay tuned. Stick with us because we're going to have a lot more NBA draft content coming up. But like I said, this episode is all about the international prospects. I did one on the top international bigs. I did another episode on the top international wings, and this is all about the playmakers or ball handlers or point guards, whatever position you want to label them as. And the first prospect I want to talk about is French point guard Nolan Traore. Now, I think Nolan Traore still deserves to be in the discussion as a lottery pick. On my last mock draft, I have him as a lottery pick. I know most people are a little bit down on him. Maybe if they're not down on him, they are not as high on him as they were coming into the season, which is totally fair. I get it. Got off to a really, really rough start, but I feel like his play of late has put him in position to where it kind of offsets a little bit of the slow start. Again, a year ago at this time, most people thought he was a top 5 pick. And so far this year, he's had some ups and his downs. Over 44 games, he's averaging 12 points, 4.7 assists, playing about 23 minutes per game, shooting 41% from the floor, 31% from 3. If you look at the numbers, since January, the three-point shooting has been in the late 30s, around 40% from 3. So the shooting has improved, but overall, the 31% is a little bit concerning, along with the 71% from the foul line. But here's why I still like Traore. Number one, I think that if the roles were reversed and if some of the top point guards that are projected ahead of him switched places and they had to play in France in a professional league and he was in college, I think the chatter around them would be a little bit different. I think whether it's Jeremiah Fears, whether it's Jagor Dimon or Kaspar Jakachonis, I think they would have had some adjustment issues to playing in a professional league. Also playing the toughest position. I 100% believe that. But I also believe that if Traore went to college and was in a different situation, I think a lot of people would still be talking about him as a lottery pick. And also, he's the same dude, the same guy that scored 45 points against Barcelona and Kaspar Jakachonis at the Adidas Next Generation Finals last year. He's the same guy in that same tournament, averaged 24.8 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists, and 1.5 steals. He's the same guy that averaged 14 points, 3.6 rebounds, and a tournament-leading 9.3 assists per game at the FIBA U18 Eurobasket. And at the FIBA U18 Eurobasket, he shot 49% from the floor or 42% from 3. He had 3 games with 10 assists or more, and he had a game where he had like 29 points and 11 assists against Lithuania. And he's also the same dude that had 18 points at the Nike Hoop Summit. I have not forgot about what he did a year ago. To me, and it's fair, I'm not knocking anyone that is a little bit lower on him because he does have some concerns. But to me, he's still that same guy. He's still that same guy that people were high on. He just got off to a rough start. playing in a respectable French league, and he had some adjustments playing the point. I think there were some games where he got benched. But overall, I still think that he is worthy of a top 10 pick. Why I like him so much? He can get 2 feet in the paint. He's still the same guy that a lot of teams have issues staying in front of. He's still a good connective passer at the minimum. He can make some high-level reads. May not be like – he's not like Yegor Demon as far as his passing vision. Doesn't have the size. But he did measure well, 6'3", 6'8" wingspan. But like I said, he's a good passer. He can get to the rim. Needs to be a little bit more efficient finishing at the rim, a little bit predictable. But I love the first step. I love the speed. And I love guards that can get 2 feet in the paint, draw multiple defenders. And if they draw 2 defenders, they're able to find the open man. And that's what Traore can do. So when I look at my personal scouting report, I have that he's a natural scorer. His game and his mindset fits the NBA game. He's a really good downhill driver. He gets by defenders with a lightning quick first step. He can get by defenders without a ball screen. There's some guards in this draft that can't beat their man one-on-one. They need a ball screen. And I get it. That's what the NBA is all about. But Traore does not need a ball screen. He can get by his man one-on-one. He likes to play through contact. He embraces physicality at the rim. He draws fouls at a pretty high rate when he's aggressive and attacking the paint. And he has some floaters and some soft touch finishes in his game. Another thing I like about him is that even though he's fast, it's just not all straight line speed. He's got a little bit of stop and start, herky-jerky, a little bit of offensive creativity off the bounce. I think he's an advanced ball handler, and he shows real promise as a shot maker. He knows how to create space off the dribble to get an open shot, and I'll get to that in a second. But I love what he does in the open floor. He's the type of guy that can really pressure the rim in transition, but he can also use his speed to create opportunities for others. So he's a transition playmaker as a scorer and as a passer. And then back to the passing, I think that he's a good reactive passer that makes live dribble reads, and he can impact the games as a scorer and a distributor. Like I said, last summer, 2 different settings, led one in scoring and led another in assist. Again, Nolan Traore should be in the lottery discussion. Now, let's talk about the concerns. At the U18s, the tournament that he led in assists, he averaged 4.7 turnovers per game. And then hasn't been consistent from 3 or even at the foul line. So if you're concerned about the shooting, that is valid, that is fair. Little streaky. At best, he's streaky, but he showed some signs of progression later on in the year. And I think he needs to become a better finisher at the rim. But with that being said, I still think that despite his concerns, he is worthy of a lottery pick. The other point guards that are projected ahead of him have similar concerns, whether it is shooting, whether it is assertiveness and aggressiveness, or even if they can consistently blow by their man and get in the paint. So with that being said, in my opinion, I believe Nolan Traore should still be a lottery pick in the 2025 NBA draft. All right, up next, we're going to talk about Ben Saraf, a guy that is projected as a first rounder who is still playing in Germany. He's playing in the playoffs right now, and I'm going to share my personal thoughts on Ben Saraf and his draft range. The NBA Finals are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. I mean, you saw Tyrese Halliburton's shot. That is probably going to go down as one of the best finals moments or shots in NBA history. We'll be talking about that for years to come, especially if the Pacers win. But every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. So whether it is a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. So before the tip and live, with player props, performances, and trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to start winning big. So if you have a read on who's heating up, so why not back it up with a same-game parlay? And I have a question for you. How could $200 in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet wins? So if you're new to FanDuel, this is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, second segment, let's talk about Ben Saraf, playing for Radio Farm. Ben is from Israel. He's a player that I've had the opportunity to watch and evaluate and scout live. Same with Nolan Traore. Like I mentioned in previous episodes, one of the things that I really love about scouting is the combination of scouting basketball and traveling. So with a lot of these international prospects, I've had the opportunity to really put my eyes on them and get a pretty good feel for them. And Saraf is a guy, I first saw him play in a tournament in Greece, and I want to say it was 2022. And I had some notes on him because I thought he was intriguing. He was a player that I thought was a potential NBA draft pick, but I did not see first rounder in 2025, which I think he could be. And a lot of the buzz around him and why he skyrocketed up draft boards is because of his phenomenal play at the U18 Eurobasket last summer. He averaged 28 points per game, shot 44% from the floor, 36% from three, and it was on a pretty good volume of attempts. The shooting has always been the concern and the swing skill for him, but it is the aggressiveness and the combination of size. He's listed at 6'6". He's currently playing for Radio Farm. He's teammates with Noah Senge, a guy who I think is also a top 10 pick. And one of the things I love about Radio Farm is that this is a team that is not afraid to play their young guys. They're currently in the playoffs, and Senge and Saraf have played a big role in their success this season. Saraf is averaging 12.5 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 4.3 assists. He's shooting 46% from the floor and 30% from three. But overall, I just like what he brings to the table. He's aggressive. He's assertive. He gets to the foul line. He's a shot maker. Loves to get to his mid-range pull-up. And then once you add that on to the positional size and the fact that he's a good rebounder, I think that he is going to be a first-round pick. Whether or not he's a point guard, like I could have put him in the wing situation or in the wing episode, I think he's best with the ball in his hands. I don't know if he's a point, but I'll talk about the concerns a little later. But I'll talk about what I like about him. One is that he's tough and he's competitive, and he brings just this energy and competitive fire to every game. He's aggressive. He's assertive. He wants to get downhill. And he's not a guy that when he's on the floor that disappears. He's going to make an impact. He's going to get his shots up. And he's, again, like I said, very aggressive scorer. And when he's at his best, and if he's able to put everything together, he has the tools to be a three-level scorer. And that was on full display at the U18s last year. He averaged 8 free throw attempts per game. I mean, he was so aggressive in getting downhill and scoring. He had a 40-point game, but he loves to get downhill, plays with good pace, is a crafty scorer off the dribble, is best with the ball in his hands. Pretty good ball handler, uses crossovers and spins and hesitations, just has natural instincts and natural feel as a scorer. And similar to Traore, which I didn't mention, a little bit ball dominant, different hands. Traore loves to go right, absolutely loves to go right. And when he's going left, it's pretty predictable. It's a step back. That is one of the concerns. With Saraf, he loves to go left. And I'm a lefty, not saying I was like a high-level player, but one thing about left-handed guards or left-handed basketball players, all lefties can get back left. You can shade a lefty to his right. He's going to find a way to get back to his left, and that is one thing that Ben Saraf does. He goes left, and when he goes left, he's getting downhill, but teams could not stop him from going to his left, even when they were shading him right at the U18s last summer. But overall, he has the ability to keep defenses honest with his shooting. Getting downhill is first and foremost what he wants to do, but he's offered just enough shooting to where he kept the defense honest and he was able to use his size and shoot over the top of defenders. I think the three-point shooting is a work in progress, but I think he's a promising shooter because he's still confident. He's not a guy that's going to pass up open shots and scared to shoot. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to keep shooting them, and even if he's not making them at a high clip, he's going to shoot enough of them to where you have to respect it. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I guess the only thing that comes to mind is like Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was not a shooter. He passed up shots. He did not want to shoot. And so you knew that you don't even have to guard him. Saraf he's a better shooter than Ben Simmons. He's going to keep you honest, and he's streaky enough to where he can reel off a couple made threes in a row, which is what he wants because he wants defenders to close out on him because he wants to attack that closeout and he wants to get to the rim. And another thing I want to talk about is on the defensive end. This season, playing for Radio Farm he's averaging 1.2 steals per game. And at the U18s, he averaged 4 steals per game. Now, the passing, I think he has pretty good feel as a passer. He makes quick decisions. He can make some live dribble reads. He looks to score first, but I think at the very, very minimum, he can be like a secondary ball handler, secondary playmaker, maybe depending on who you have on the floor. Because he has good size, you can play him in the 3-ball handler lineup. But he loves to get to the paint, loves to draw multiple defenders where he can kick it out to shooters or dump it off to cutters. And he's good at locating shooters, and he likes to fire cross-court skip passes. I like high-risk and high-reward passers. But, again, first and foremost, he's trying to get to the money. And for him, the money is get to the paint and get a bucket. But he is a high-risk, high-reward passer, has a tendency to jump and maybe – force passes into tight spaces, but overall, I like what he brings to the table as an aggressive scorer that uses his scoring and his aggressive mentality to create open looks for teammates. Now, I don't know if point guard is the position he'll play in the NBA, but I do think that, like I said, with his size and his instincts as a scorer and a passer, could be a secondary playmaker, secondary ball handling option. And maybe even a guy that if he comes off the bench is your lead ball handler in spurts. But overall, I think Ben Saraf is a first-round pick. And he's a guy that I've been a fan of for quite some time. There's a game, if you have access to it, or maybe it's on YouTube, check it out. There's a game where he played against Hugo Gonzalez, a player that I mentioned in the previous episode of the Passport Prospects, and he scored 40 points against Hugo Gonzalez in Spain. So Ben Saraf, in my opinion, first-round pick. All right, up next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite players in the draft, Neoklis Avdalas. All right, last segment. I'm actually going to throw in an interview that I did with Avdalas at the end of this. But Avdalas has been one of my favorite players in this class. He's 6'8", good ball handler, good athlete. I've said it before. I'm on the record of saying it, that if Avdalas played college basketball this past season, I think we would be talking about him as a lottery pick. At least he would be talked about in the same range as Yegor Demin and Kasparas Giacochonis. Avdalas is from Greece, played the season at Peristeri. Hopefully I said that right. In Greece. He played in the EuroLeague at like 15 years old. And personally, I feel like some of his development had been stalled. I feel like he was trending up to like being one of the best players. Well, he still is one of the best players, but he was trending in the direction that I thought we'd be talking about him as a top 5 pick, because when he played in the EuroLeague at 15, I mean, that is not a small task. That is not a small feat. And then it just seemed like he just wasn't making the jumps that I expected. I saw him at Basketball Without Borders last year, and that's when I kind of like, you know what? Maybe the reason why he hasn't made the jump is because he's been restricted playing in Greece. Not a knock on Greece, but I don't think that he's had the freedom to play how he wants to play. His game seems like it's more suited to play in the American free-flowing system where guys get up and down the floor, where you can make quick decisions. It's not as tactical. And I feel like he thrives in those situations. And so I've been a big fan of him for a while, since I first saw him play. Again, the size, the athleticism, the shooting, and he's a point guard. He'll tell you that he is a point guard, but he hasn't been given the opportunity to play a lot of minutes at the point. But I just don't think he's been in the situation that fully showcases his skill. He was at the NBA Combine last month, and I thought he played well. Did not have a lot of reps on ball, but he made good decisions. He knocked down threes. So I think Avdalas is probably one of the more slept-on prospects in this class. The big question is he going to stay in the draft, or is he going to go to school? I know that there are several schools that have reached out to me that are in hot pursuit of him. Again, tough decision. Depending on his draft range, he has until the 15th to decide, but he can make a lot of money in NIL if he goes to college. But in college, as far as what he's looking for in the college, I think he's looking for a situation that gives him the best opportunity to play with the ball in his hands, to show teams and NBA scouts that he is a point guard. So let me share my thoughts on Avdalas. With his size, he can play both guard spots, but like I said, in my opinion, he's best with the ball in his hands. He has a good blend of size, strength, ball handling, offensive creativity, and athleticism. His game probably translates better to the American style of play, as he hasn't been given the same freedom as Jonas and Demon and some of the other guys. But he can create off the dribble, whether it's driving to the cup. If he has this weaker defender on them, he plays bully ball, which that's more so on the levels, on the youth levels. He wasn't able to play a lot of bully ball, use his strength and physicality playing in Greece's top league. But I think there's real upside as a three-level scorer. I mentioned he shot the ball well from three this year. Probably the best point guard athlete, depending on what you think about Traore, but probably the best point guard athlete in the 2006 generation in Europe. He looks to make plays above the rim. He gets his fair share of dunks in the half court or in transition. But I also want to mention that he's good in the open floor, whether it is scoring as the play finisher or leading the break. I think that he has real value as a transition playmaker. The concerns are he did not have like a really strong performance at the U18s last summer. Had some really off shooting games. He had a 6 of 19 game versus France, a 4 of 18 game versus Sweden. He had a 3 of 13 game versus Belgium. He only shot 28% from three and 55% at the foul line at the U18s. I don't know what was going on. I've never talked to him or asked him about it, but at the U18 Eurobasket last summer, he did not look like the same player that I saw at Basketball Without Borders just a few months prior. Overall, the numbers aren't going to stand out or blow you away. 7 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists in only 18 minutes. But I'm trusting my eyes here. I'm trusting my eyes. And if you saw him at the combine, you saw that he was able to hold his own. He did not look out of place. Again, I don't know what the decision is he's going to make. He has some really intriguing options ahead of him. But overall, I am high on Avdalas. I think he's worth a first-round pick. But I think if a team does not make him a promise, does not give him a first-round guarantee, and he goes to school, I think they're going to regret it, because it's going to be a lot tougher to get him in the 2026 NBA draft if he goes to the right situation, because I think he could be a lottery pick. So if I were a team picking late in the first round, I would make some type of guarantee to try to get him in this draft and develop him, because he could be out of range next year. All right, here is my one-on-one interview with Greece's Neoklis Avdalas. Right. I'm sitting here. I'm in Fort Worth with Neoklis Avdalas. I've been a fan of yours for a while. I first started tracking you when you were like 14 or 15 years old. How does it feel to be right here preparing for the NBA draft?
It's a great experience, man. Already, I'm here. I was in Chicago first, got my work in. Now I'm here, with all the guys, trying to work again, work hard, but this is what gets to the next level, just work. So I'm really excited for what's in the future for me, and I'm just really excited and work.
So I've been watching the workouts the last 2 days. I think a lot of guys were surprised at how good you are and how athletic you are. And like I said, I've been watching you since you were 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
I think that your game fits the United States style of play, more free-flowing. Yeah. What did you notice, like, playing out here with these guys that makes you confident that you can play on the NBA level?
Yeah, I was very lucky, from a young age. I was at every tournament, and event, BWB, so I know what this guy is like, so yeah, I'm lucky, that I'm able to play with these guys, see what the future is, and try to be competitive, because I'm a very competitive guy, so try to come here and compete every day.
Speaking of BWB, I was at the Basketball Without Borders. I see you got the shirt on for Indianapolis, and that weekend you had Nolan Traore, you had Jonas, You had Common Molly Watch. You had a lot of guys that are in this draft that are projected to be lottery picks. And I've said it on my platform that I don't think there's a big difference as far as talent between you and those guys. Ben Saraf is another guy that was there. Noah Singa was there. I think they had like a better opportunity to showcase their game and their talent.
Yeah.
What about playing over here in the United States just kind of makes you stand out a little bit more?
I mean, for sure, man. You know, just being here from itself, you know, it's really nice for me. I really like it, you know, being here. Like I said, I'm lucky, you know, to being able to play with all these guys and compete. You know, it makes me better, you know. So I think I will make a good progress this year, you know, with Pers 30, and I was able to play. So yeah, and develop.
So for those that aren't familiar with your game, who is Neoklis Avdalas? Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, you pronounced it. You know, I think I'm a point guard. You know, I like to play the point, but I can play short guard too, small forward, whatever. I think I can guard multiple positions, and yeah, I like to pass for sure. It's my thing. My shot got a lot better, you know, especially this year. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just keep adding things to my game. You know, that's what I want to do, and I think I can do plenty of stuff in the basketball court.
So you're 6'8". I don't know what that is in meters. Sorry, it's the American in me.
Yeah.
What is that in meters?
2'4", 2'5".
2'4", 2'5". Yeah. 6'8" point guard. I think you are best with the ball in your hands, but I have seen that you have improved as a shooter, which, you know, kind of increases your ability to get on the court if you're playing with a smaller point guard. Defensively, how many positions do you think you can defend?
Every position I can defend for sure. Yeah, I feel like it. I'm a very good defender. It's underrated part of my game. Yeah,
I mean, you have the athleticism and the length. Let's talk about like your experience playing overseas. Obviously, you've been playing with grown men. I mean, you play with your peers, but you know, you were what, 14 or 15 when you made your debut? Are you still the youngest?
Yeah.
Ever?
I am.
The youngest player to ever play in the EuroLeague. And tell me about just like the experience playing with grown men. How you think that has you prepared for the NBA?
A lot, man, a lot. You know, being able to play with these guys at 15, just I was getting better every day. You know, I was playing under 16 and under 18 too, and men's. Yep. So it was a lot, and I had school too. But yeah, I got better out of it. You know, for sure. You know, when I play, that's what I got. When I was 17 and 18, 2 years now, I was on loan. You know, to be able to play and see, you know, what it's like to play with the men's league. Yeah, so I think I developed a lot, and I'm ready for the next step.
Who are some players that you modeled your game after, whether it's NBA players or EuroLeague players or just guys that play in the Greek league? Name some guys that you
yeah, I mean, from the NBA, I like Luka, you know, for sure I said it. I watched him since he was in Real Madrid. I really like the guys that play with tall guards, can play with the ball. I like Kate Cunningham, I like Kendrick Nunn, you know, he's not that tall, but he's killing in Europe. So
highest paid player, yep.
But yeah, I think I really like Luke.
Did you watch Spanoulis, or are you too young for Spanoulis?
Yeah, for sure, man. He's a legend.
He's a legend. Yep. So I lived in Greece for a little while. I lived in Turkey, so I follow the European game pretty closely. In your opinion, what is the biggest difference between playing here and, I mean, I know you haven't played here, but just the biggest difference between playing here in Europe?
Yeah, I was in the Bucks game, you know, last couple of days, and the pace was so faster. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I'm not playing here, but as I see from the video, the pace is one of the things. You know, it's faster. You know, the outlet is after 2 seconds, the team has passed the middle court. So yeah, I don't know nothing, but defensively, I mean, the 3 seconds. You know, it's a big.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference. Yeah. It's a big difference.
I think this style of play fits your game. It's not as tactical. It's more free-flowing, and I think you are at your best when you're playing with freedom. All right, last question. You've declared for the draft. You're going through the draft process, but I know the colleges are coming after you and recruiting you. How does it feel to have to choose between maybe college, maybe NBA? I mean, it's good that you have options.
Panathinaikos too, you know, I have to choose between them too. So
They just paid Kendrick Nunn a bag. So
Yeah.
he's gonna play a lot.
Yeah.
So what's gonna factor into your final decision?
I mean, it's a privilege, like you said, to have all these options for me and to think about it with my family, with my agent. And I don't know, like I said, I'm ready for the next step, whatever this is, like college, NBA, Panathinaikos. So yeah, I'm trying to work now, see what my options are. We're gonna see in the future.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, thank you for making this your first, your second, or your third listen of the day. I am out of here.